Introduction. Most people already understand, at least in broad terms, what would make their lives better. They know they should eat cleaner food, wake up with purpose, spend less than they earn, study with consistency, train their bodies, build useful skills, grow a business, or stop giving precious hours away to distraction. Naming goal is easy. Living goal when excitement disappears is harder. That space between what you intend and what you actually do is where self-discipline becomes power. Self-discipline is not self-hatred. It is not punishment, stiffness, or turning yourself into an emotionless machine. Real discipline is ability to choose what matters more over what feels easier right now. It is quiet strength behind small repeated choices, keeping promise to yourself, finishing task after first burst of energy fades, waiting for better reward, standing back up after bad day, and returning to path without drama. This book looks at discipline from practical angle. You will see how brain, habits, choices, emotions and environment all shape results. You will learn why many people stay trapped in old routines even when they sincerely want change. You will also see how ordinary daily actions, repeated with patience, can create extraordinary shift over time. Purpose here is not to entertain you for a few hours and leave your life unchanged. Purpose is to help you understand behavior, take ownership of choices, and build systems that make progress easier to repeat. Motivation may open door, but discipline walks through it every day. Yet you do not need perfect willpower before beginning. You need one clear decision. You need one habit small enough to repeat. You need enough honesty to admit where current patterns are taking you. If life feels stuck, answer is not hidden in dramatic miracle. It begins with next disciplined action. Use these chapters as working guide. Read, apply, measure, adjust, and keep moving. Discipline becomes stronger through use. Each time you act from values instead of impulses, you train mind to trust you, and you become harder to pull away from life you want. Chapter 1. Self-discipline, the biological argument. Many people assume discipline is fixed trait. Some are born with it, others are not. That belief sounds convenient, but it is not whole truth. Self-discipline has biological roots. It is connected to brain activity, decision-making, focus, stress, and repeated behavior. When you understand that discipline is not magic, you stop seeing yourself as broken and begin seeing yourself as trainable. Human brain contains around 100 billion neurons. These tiny cells help create thought, behavior, memory, desire, and choice. In 2009, neuroscientists Todd Hare and Colin Camera studied what happens inside brain when people must choose between immediate reward and future benefit. Using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, they watched brain activity while participants decided whether to take smaller financial reward right away or wait for larger reward later. That experiment placed people inside classic conflict: short-term pleasure versus long-term gain. Researchers saw strong activity in areas such as ventromedial prefrontal cortex and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. These regions became especially active when people made choices that served future interest rather than immediate comfort. Meaning is important. Some people may find discipline easier because their prefrontal cortex works differently or has been strengthened through past behavior. But this does not mean others are doomed. It means discipline has mechanism. You cannot expect strong self-control from nowhere if you have never trained it. Healthy choices make discipline stronger. Unhealthy choices make it weaker. If you struggle to say no to sweets, keep skipping exercise, or lose hours scrolling through videos instead of doing meaningful work, do not treat that as final identity. Treat it as current training level. Training level can improve. Delayed gratification. In 2011, researchers revisited people connected to famous Stanford marshmallow experiment. Original experiment, begun in 1972, studied children who were offered marshmallow now or bigger reward if they waited. Later follow-up suggested children who waited more easily showed greater activity in prefrontal cortices. Differences also appeared in ventral striatum, brain area linked with reward and addiction, when they faced choices between healthier and less healthy options. Participants who delayed gratification tended to do better across many areas of adult life. Simple childhood choice, eat marshmallow now or wait, reflected deeper pattern in decision-making. It showed how ability to tolerate temporary desire can shape future outcomes. Research on discipline does not prove that success belongs only to people born with special genes. Better conclusion is this: self-discipline is skill. If you are willing to practice, you can develop it. Weightlifting strengthens muscle by repeated stress and recovery. In similar way, disciplined action strengthens brain systems involved in control, planning, and focus. If you are reading because discipline feels difficult, do not sink into discouragement. Skills may be easier to develop in childhood, but adulthood does not close door. Willpower and discipline improve when exercised consistently. Every skill follows same rule. Repeat right action often enough, and ability grows. Focus and executive functions. Focus shapes discipline. Neuroscientists often connect focus with executive functions, working memory, cognitive flexibility, adaptability, and impulse control. These are mental abilities that help you hold goal in mind, filter distractions, adjust when situation changes, manage urges, choose priorities, and continue until task is complete. Research links these functions to several brain areas, including anterior cingulate cortex, orbitofrontal cortex, and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. These regions help regulate behavior. Since they can be trained, focus can improve. Discipline and focus operate together. You cannot fully master one while neglecting other, because discipline is sustained focus on chosen course of action until result is reached. Think of goal as destination and focus as steering wheel. Without steering, even strong engine sends you anywhere. Without discipline, focus becomes temporary mood. Together, they create direction. Willpower fatigue. Body grows tired after hard workout. Willpower also weakens after heavy use. Since self-control has biological basis, brain of someone who refuses cake 10 times is not in same state as brain of someone who eats it every time. Even highly disciplined person has limits. If temptation keeps appearing all day, eventually resistance becomes harder. No person can lift weights for 24 hours without rest. Likewise, no person can use willpower non-stop without recovery. In 1996, psychologist Roy Baumeister studied what became known as willpower depletion. 67 participants entered room filled with fresh, sweet treats and bitter radishes. One group could eat sweets. Other group had to eat radishes while resisting sweets. Later, both groups attempted difficult puzzle. Radish group gave up sooner. They had already spent mental energy resisting temptation, so persistence dropped. Whether later debates refine details of willpower depletion, practical lesson remains useful. Do not design life that forces you to fight temptation every minute. Better plan is to reduce need for heroic resistance. Willpower protection. Brain's first job is survival. Today we know short dip in energy or sugar is usually not life-threatening, but ancient biological systems can still react as if danger is near. When body feels depleted, stressed or unstable, brain may seek quick comfort. That can show up as binge eating, impulsive spending, angry reactions, endless scrolling, or other behaviors linked to poor self-control. Best discipline strategy is often not stronger struggle, but smarter environment. If diet is weakness, do not fill cupboard with cookies and then expect nightly courage. Replace tempting food with healthy options. When grocery shopping, avoid aisles that pull you into old patterns. Go directly toward foods that support your goals. Then willpower is tested for short time in store, not every night in kitchen. Another simple protection is shopping after dinner. When full from healthy meal, you are less likely to buy junk food because hunger is not steering you. You are not forcing discipline to battle biology. You are creating conditions where vulnerable state cannot easily sabotage you. This approach applies beyond food. If phone steals your attention, keep it outside workspace. If late nights ruin mornings, set evening shutdown routine. If impulse spending causes stress, remove saved card details and wait 24 hours before purchases. Protect discipline by reducing friction for good choices and increasing friction for bad ones. Stress also weakens willpower. Under pressure, body enters fight or flight mode. In that state, people often act faster and think less. Prefrontal cortex, which helps plan and regulate decisions, performs worse under high stress. Brain focuses on immediate survival, not long-term outcome. That is why tired, hungry, anxious people often make poor decisions they later regret. Core principle is simple. As mentally stable adult, you usually know difference between helpful and harmful choice. You know watching series instead of working toward dream will not build dream. Discipline means doing what must be done even when mood does not support it. But effort must be consistent. Working one day and drifting next day will not create momentum. Consistency builds trust, rhythm, and proof. Dreams become real through repeated aligned action. Remember, discipline has biological process. Like other habits, brain begins to treat repeated behavior as normal. Practice discipline often enough, and discipline stops feeling like foreign language. It becomes part of how you live. Chapter 2. The Benefits of Self-Discipline. Self-discipline touches every area of life. Many people miss this because modern culture trains them to drift on autopilot. They react, consume, excuse, and repeat. But relationships, money, work, health, learning, and character all depend on ability to control impulses and honor commitments. Lack of discipline can damage family life. Betrayal may come from inability to control sexual urges. Financial chaos may come from uncontrolled spending. Broken trust may come from repeated failure to do what was promised. In workplace, school, business, and personal life, level of discipline strongly influences level of success. Benefits are many. Raises your self-confidence. Low discipline often feeds low self-esteem. People feel bad about themselves partly because they are not living near their potential. They set goals in January, then by February or March, old habits return and goals fade. Failure rarely comes from lack of wishing. It comes from not doing what success requires. Person who wants to lose weight sits on couch eating burgers and imagining beach body. Dreaming in front of television will not change body. Person who wants higher income keeps avoiding learning, planning, and action. Inactivity leads toward failure. Years pass quickly. 5 years, 10 years, suddenly life looks same, and shame grows because you know you did not move. Disciplined person gains confidence because they know they are participating in their own growth. They may not be at final destination yet, but they are eating better, training, studying, saving, building, and moving. They feel stronger because they are in driver's seat. They know direction. Confidence comes from evidence, and daily discipline creates evidence. Build better relationships. Many friendships and relationships break down because people fail to keep word. Someone promises secrecy, then whole office knows. Someone borrows money and never returns it. Someone says they will show up, then disappears. Trust is built from repeated reliability. Self-disciplined person values word. If they promise confidentiality, they protect it. If they commit, they follow through. They tend to be same person in private as in public because integrity matters more than image. This quality is rare and valuable. People naturally trust those who demonstrate control, consistency, and honesty. Strong personal networks often grow around disciplined character. You will stop being offended. People who are easily offended often lack inner steadiness. They may not know who they are or what they stand for, so criticism feels like attack on identity. Even constructive feedback can trigger defensiveness. Disciplined people are usually calmer because they are building themselves on purpose. They can hear criticism without collapsing. They can take insult without letting it own them. They value useful feedback because it helps them improve. Discipline gives person internal anchor. When you know your path, every opinion does not become earthquake. Avoid risky behaviors. Many theories about risky or unhealthy behavior include self-control. Hirschi and Gottfredson's self-control theory, for example, argues that criminal behavior can involve inability to control desire for immediate gain. Crime has many causes, of course, but if morality, consequences, and self-control were removed, many people would choose quick illegal reward over honest effort. Average person avoids that path partly because control exists. In 2012, Ford and Blumenstein found that American college students with higher self-control were less likely to abuse prescription drugs, binge drink, or use cannabis. Research also connects low self-control with impulsive sexual behavior. Participants with weaker control were more likely to engage in risky sexual activity outside primary relationships, raising risk of disease and unplanned pregnancy. Self-discipline is not only about reaching goals. It protects life from avoidable damage. It helps you avoid choices that give short excitement and long regret. You may have picked up this book because you want stronger discipline, but before building it, you must understand why change feels so difficult. Chapter 3. The Status Quo. Bias. Why we resist change. Desire to improve discipline deserves respect, but path is not always smooth. You will meet mental blocks. Sometimes you will feel resistance even when goal is clear and fear is lower than before. Some people experience that resistance and assume growth is only for special few. That is not true. Once you understand psychology behind resistance, you can move through it with more skill. You may know exactly what you want. You may have begun strengthening discipline. Yet invisible force seems to hold you back. This feeling is common. In this chapter, focus is status quo bias, tendency to prefer familiar life, even when familiar life is not best life. Once you see how this bias works, you can challenge it and keep moving. The sunk cost fallacy. One well-known self-defeating pattern is sunk cost fallacy. It explains why people stay in situations they would not choose again. Draining relationship, dead-end job, stale friendship, expensive project, or lifestyle that no longer fits. Because they already invested time, money, emotion, or identity, they keep going even when better option exists. Status quo bias is related. It describes human tendency to cling to known reality instead of stepping into unknown. In economics, Richard Zeckhauser and William Samuelson studied this tendency and published work in Journal of Risk and Uncertainty in 1988. Economic models often assume people choose best option when alternatives exist. Real people often choose no change. They keep doing what they already do. General word for this is inertia. Inertia can look harmless. Same job, same patterns, same complaints, same excuses. But if current path is leading away from desired life, doing nothing is not neutral. Doing nothing is choice to continue. Loss aversion theory. Why do people remain with same jobs, people, routines, and ambitions? One explanation is loss aversion. Humans dislike losing things, even when those things are not deeply valuable. Before we leave what is familiar, we want proof that new path will improve life. We want guarantee before releasing old comfort. Change may lead to better outcome, but subconscious mind often treats change as threat. Even positive change has costs. Moving into nicer home requires effort, money, paperwork, and adjustment. Getting married brings joy, but also responsibility. Starting business offers freedom, but also risk. Most people do not want to pay price unless certainty is high. Since certainty rarely comes, they stay still. The fear of regret. Another reason for status quo bias is fear of regret. People worry they will change direction and later feel foolish. They imagine friends, family, or loved ones judging them. To avoid possible embarrassment, they remain where they are comfortable. Fear of failure keeps many people loyal to old life. But failure is not final. It is not end of world to make wrong attempt. Every successful person fails somewhere. Difference is they use mistakes as instruction, not identity. Regret from never trying often hurts more than failure from honest efforts. The mere exposure effect. Mere exposure effect is another mental force that keeps people attached to familiar things. Research over many decades suggests that repeated exposure often increases acceptance or liking. In 1968, one study found that when participants saw symbols and words more often, they tended to develop more positive feelings toward them. Daily life shows similar pattern. Spend enough time around someone and affection may grow. There are exceptions. Sometimes exposure reveals flaws and dislike increases, but often repeated contact makes something feel normal enough to tolerate. We tell ourselves, it is not ideal, but it will do. This effect has both benefit and danger. Good news. Once self-control becomes familiar, you are less likely to return to old chaos. The more you practice positive mindset and disciplined action, the more comfortable they feel. Bad news. Bad habits also become familiar. If you spent years sleeping late on Saturdays, getting up early to work on goals will feel unnatural at first. Status quo bias will argue for bed. Trick is remembering that repeated early action will eventually become new normal. Now think back over your own life. When did you have chance to change but failed to follow through? Did you tell yourself, I have always done it this way, or it is not that bad, so why change? Those sentences often protect comfort while stealing future. Status quo bias does one thing well. It keeps you safe. But it may also keep dreams unfulfilled. Over long period, regret can become heavier than fear. Looking back and asking, what if, can haunt more deeply than trying and failing. Awareness gives you chance to choose better. Thought evaluation exercise. Make promise today. Use rational decision-making to build life you want. When choice appears between staying as you are and changing course, slow down and examine thoughts. Take paper. Draw one vertical line and one horizontal line so page has 4 sections. Label them status quo advantages, status quo disadvantages, advantages to alternative, disadvantages to alternative. Spend at least 10 minutes filling each section. Do not rush. Then sleep on it and return next day. If you want second perspective, ask trusted person to help you see what you may miss. Try to remove emotional noise from decision and look at facts. Once you can see thought process clearly, choose action that moves you beyond comfort zone. Build habit of questioning choices. Pay attention to routines. Adjust them so they serve final goal instead of protecting old identity. Next step in discipline is realism. You must know what you can do, what you cannot yet do, and where self-deception may be hiding. Chapter 4. A reality check, the Dunning. Kruger. Effect. Confidence is valuable. You should know your strengths and refuse to shrink from them. But confidence without honest self-assessment becomes danger. Or you must also know weaknesses. This chapter explains risk of misjudging competence and how to protect yourself from it. Everyone knows person who rates their own ability far above reality. Co-worker thinks every joke is brilliant, but nobody laughs. Friend believes they are amazing singer, yet room suffers. You may not suffer this problem now, but understanding it matters because nobody is immune forever. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger effect happens when person lacks skill in area and also lacks awareness of that lack. This creates double burden. They make mistakes, and they cannot see why mistakes happen. Correction becomes difficult because they are blind to deficiency. Instead of improving, they defend themselves. They may blame bad luck, jealous people, poor timing, or unfair systems. The psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger from Cornell University studied this phenomenon through tests involving humor, logic, and grammar. People who scored lowest often did not recognize how poorly they performed. They lacked metacognition, metamemory, and metacomprehension, ability to evaluate own thinking, memory, and understanding. They could not accurately judge themselves. Even before this research, it was known that people often overrate themselves in areas such as writing, leadership, and judgment. Dunning-Kruger effect sharpens that idea. Incompetence can hide itself from incompetent person. In workplaces, this can explain how weak leaders sometimes rise. They appear certain, while more skilled people may be modest because deeper knowledge shows them how much remains to learn. The relationship between self-discipline and the Dunning-Kruger effect, self-discipline and self-control, are skills. Because they are skills, you can overestimate them. If you start believing you have mastered productivity, temptation, and focus completely, be careful. Maybe you have improved, and that should be respected. But it is also possible you still have much to learn. Research suggests that as people become more familiar with skill or subject, they often become less likely to claim total expertise. Deeper understanding reveals complexity. Beginners may speak with absolute certainty. Advanced learners often speak with humility because they see wider field. Discipline requires same humility. If you believe you are beyond temptation, you may stop protecting environment. If you believe you are permanently productive, you may ignore fatigue. Or if you believe you are immune to excuses, excuses may return through side door. The solution. Solution is balance. Maintain confidence where you are strong, while staying open to constructive criticism. This protects you from complacency and ignorance. Imagine you believe you are excellent driver. You register for advanced driving course to reduce insurance cost. Before test, instructor watches you practice and says your driving is below required level. At that moment, you have choice. You can accept feedback and practice, or you can defend ego and accuse instructor of ignorance because you already decided you are great driver. Reality check can hurt, especially when you thought progress was strong, but it can also reveal exact areas needing work. Objective feedback is gift if you use it. To protect yourself from Dunning-Kruger effect, keep improving. Never assume you have arrived. Aim to be better today than yesterday. Courses, apps, tests, journals, and tracking tools can help because they provide evidence. They show scores, patterns, and progress over time. Evidence keeps ego from writing fantasy. Another strategy is spending time around people ahead of you in field you want to master. This is not about comparing yourself in toxic way. It is about exposure to higher standards. When you see better performance, you learn what is possible and where you stand. Tracking current level and target level keeps you grounded. Warning: Once you learn Dunning-Kruger effect, you may start seeing it in others. You may feel tempted to point it out, especially with people you dislike. Resist that urge. It is unkind and often unhelpful. Also remember, you would not enjoy someone using same label against you. Finally, remember perfection does not exist. Every human has flaws. That is not tragedy. It means improvement always remains available. Now you are ready to look at daily habits that strengthen self-discipline. Chapter 5. Daily habits to improve self-discipline. Habits are behaviors repeated so often, they no longer require much conscious thought. Most people do not need motivational speech to brush teeth in morning. From childhood, parents train children to brush after waking and before bed. By adulthood, even when tired, they still do it because pattern is wired into brain. Goal of discipline is to make actions that build dream feel as natural as brushing teeth. Right now, some bad habits may feel natural instead. Maybe you come home from work, sit in front of television, and stay there until bedtime. Pattern becomes predictable. Walk in, change clothes, eat, sit down, watch, sleep. Repeat Monday through Friday. Life becomes script, and script becomes identity. Your habits are a reflection of your character. Habits become part of character. People may even become known for them. If friends tell you event starts 1 hour earlier than actual time, they expect you to be late. Lateness is not random. It often begins night before, sleeping late, waking late, rushing, arriving late, then repeating. Or perhaps stress triggers binge eating instead of direct problem solving. Over time, response becomes automatic. Psychologists explain habits through connection between stimulus and response. Thought, emotion, place, time, or event triggers action. Repeat pattern often enough, and action becomes habit. Habit then affects life. Unless you consciously interrupt behavior, it may become permanent. Daily habits to improve self-discipline. Difference between successful and unsuccessful people often comes down to daily habits. Highly successful people repeat useful actions. They create routine and protect it. Their habits strengthen them mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You can begin building same kind of structure with practical daily habits. Your morning routine. Morning sets tone for day. If alarm rings and you keep hitting snooze, you may lose time for exercise you promised yourself. Because you wake late, breakfast disappears. You grab fast food on way to work. Now, mind says, day is already ruined. Since I ate poorly for breakfast, I may as well eat poorly at lunch. Since food is off track, gym can wait. I will go home, watch Netflix, and start tomorrow. That is how 1 weak morning becomes full week day. Bad habits often grow when important choices are ignored early. But opposite is also true. When you get out of bed on alarm, move body, and eat healthy breakfast, energy rises. Positive decision creates desire for next positive decision. Momentum begins before world pulls at you. Morning routine does not need to be complicated. It only needs to be intentional. Many successful people have fixed morning habits. Barack Obama has been known to begin day around 7 a.m., exercise for 45 minutes, eat breakfast, then work. Bill Gates has started very early, using treadmill time while watching educational material before beginning work. Oprah Winfrey wakes early, walks dogs, reads affirmations, and meditates. Pattern is clear. Successful people do not leave mornings to chance. They use early hours to prepare mind and body for useful day. For your own routine, keep it simple. Wake at set time. Avoid snooze. Drink water. Move body. Read or reflect. Review top priorities. Eat food that supports energy. These actions tell brain, today has direction. The final hour of the day. Morning matters, but final hour before sleep matters too. Evening routine prepares tomorrow. Sleep renews body, settles mind, and restores energy. Without good sleep, productivity becomes struggle and health suffers. Strong bedtime routine helps you unwind. Turn off digital devices before sleep. Read calming material. Prepare clothes, bag, or workspace for next day. Write down tomorrow's first tasks so mind can rest. Aim for at least 7 hours of sleep. Long-term sleep shortage does not only reduce productivity, it can harm health. If you end day with chaos, screens, arguments, heavy food, and random scrolling, morning becomes harder. If you end day with order, calm, and preparation, discipline becomes easier before alarm even rings. Practice gratitude. In 2016, DeSteno and Dickens found connection between gratitude and self-control. In their study, participants completed computer task. Computer intentionally malfunctioned, and another participant helped fix issue. Researchers also evaluated happiness, patience, and self-control across daily life. Later, participants chose between smaller immediate payment and larger delayed payment. More grateful participants were willing to wait longer for bigger reward. Gratitude can strengthen discipline because it shifts attention away from craving and scarcity. When you appreciate what you have, impulses lose some force. You stop acting as if every desire must be satisfied immediately. Say, thank you. Many people overlook ordinary kindness. Begin thanking people for small things. Thank partner for presence and care. Thank children for love. Thank friends for loyalty. Thank co-workers for help. Do not say words mechanically. Feel appreciation behind them. Make time for gratitude. Complaining can become habit. World has real problems, and news can make everything look hopeless. But negative focus is not full truth. Each morning or evening, write 5 things you are grateful for. Pause on each one. Let appreciation become emotional experience, not empty list. Gratitude trains mind to notice support, progress, health, opportunity, lessons, and people. That mindset makes disciplined action easier because you feel less deprived. Set daily goals. Long-term goals become manageable when broken into daily goals. Big dream can feel terrifying when current reality is far away, but once goal becomes small, repeatable steps, action becomes possible. Daily goals build momentum. Momentum encourages you because every day provides evidence that you are closer than yesterday. But daily goals should not be random busy work. They must connect to long-term direction. Suppose you want to lose 60 pounds. Looking in mirror and repeating, "I need to lose weight," may create shame but not plan. Since 60 pounds feels huge, you delay. Tomorrow becomes next week, Next week becomes next year. Maybe weight increases. Now break target down. 60 pounds over 12 months means 5 pounds per month, a little over 1 pound per week. Suddenly, goal feels less impossible. All daily actions can support it. Eat more vegetables, reduce refined carbohydrates, walk or do 10 minutes cardio, drink more water, track food, sleep better. Small daily actions create large yearly result. Key is consistency. Do not ask, what can I do once to feel inspired? Ask, what can I repeat every day that moves me toward goal? A good night's sleep is foundation for discipline. When tired and sluggish, everything is harder. Focus drops. Patience drops. Cravings rise. Work feels heavier. Here are practical habits for better sleep. Daytime naps. If you nap, keep it around 30 minutes. Short nap can restore alertness and mood. Longer naps may make it harder to sleep at night. Avoid stimulants. Caffeine and nicotine in evening can keep brain active. Even if you fall asleep, sleep quality may drop, leaving you less rested. Watch what you eat. Heavy, rich, fatty foods and carbonated drinks can cause indigestion or heartburn, interrupting sleep. A bedtime routine. Teach body that sleep is coming. Take warm bath, read book, stretch lightly, breathe slowly. Avoid emotionally charged conversations before bed because they can keep mind alert. The right environment, comfortable mattress and pillows matter. Remove light from television, phone and laptop. Use eye shades or blackout curtains if needed. Cool, dark, quiet room helps body rest. Better sleep is not luxury. It is discipline support system. Tired brain makes poor choices. Rested brain can choose better. Stay organized. Organization and self-discipline work together. It is hard to stay disciplined when environment is chaos. Disciplined people often organize because they want life to work with less friction. Improves. Productivity. Disorganization wastes time. You search for keys, documents, chargers, notes, passwords, clothes, and tools. Mess turns simple tasks into battles. Organization gives time back for meaningful work. Less stress. Losing important items creates immediate stress. When every item has place and files are orderly, search panic disappears. Calm environment supports calm mind. More energy and enthusiasm. Digging through piles of papers, clothes, or objects drains energy. When energy is gone, enthusiasm fades. Our organized spaces reduce unnecessary resistance. A positive image. Order changes how you see yourself and how others see you. If you are known as disorganized person, consistent order can reshape reputation. More importantly, it reshapes identity. You begin to feel like person who handles life with care. Start small. Clear desk. Prepare clothes. Organize one drawer. Create folder system. Put keys in same place. Remove items you never use. Discipline grows when environment stops fighting you. Perform these 2 habits before 8 a.m. Many successful people use several routines, but 2 habits often appear before 8 a.m. Prayer or meditation and reading. 1. They pray/meditate. prayer and meditation appear across religions and philosophies. Even people who do not believe in higher power may still reflect, sit quietly, breathe, and practice mindfulness. People from many backgrounds use stillness to strengthen focus and emotional control. Research has found meditation useful for stress reduction and pain management. It can support memory and brain function. Teachers use meditation to help students focus. Actors, artists, and innovators use it to enter creative state. Well-known performers and leaders have practiced meditation. Tom Hanks, Cameron Diaz, Jennifer Aniston, Kristen Bell, Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins, Jerry Seinfeld, Steve Harvey, Ellen DeGeneres, Katy Perry, Sheryl Crow, Paul McCartney, and Oprah Winfrey. Oprah has spoken about meditating daily and connecting best work with meditative state. Meditation helps because it trains attention. You learn to notice thought without obeying every thought. You learn to sit with discomfort without running. That is discipline in pure form. You can begin with 5 minutes. Sit quietly. Breathe. When mind wanders, bring it back. Do not judge. Repeat. Over time, this strengthens mental control. 2. Spend time reading. Books are common near beds and desks of high achievers. Many successful people build home libraries because they understand learning creates leverage. Leaders are readers. If you want to improve income, decisions, communication, discipline, or wisdom, invest in learning. A successful person often prefers $20 book that can improve life over temporary entertainment that leaves no growth. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates once discussed desired superpower with CNBC, and both pointed toward ability to read extremely fast. That answer reveals value they place on learning. Continuous education is key to success. Personal development depends on it. If you are not learning, growth slows. Some say they dislike reading or lack time, but modern tools remove excuse. Audiobooks can play while driving, cleaning, exercising, cooking, or doing routine chores. Look at what sits on your table. Gossip magazines and empty entertainment reveal one direction of mind. Books that build skill, character, business, health, faith, or wisdom reveal another. What you feed mind shapes what mind produces. Reading also strengthens discipline because it requires attention. It trains you to stay with thought longer than short social media clip. It gives language to your goals and solutions to your problems. Building daily discipline through identity. Daily habits are not only actions, they are votes for identity. Each time you wake when alarm rings, you vote for identity of reliable person. Each time you prepare healthy meal, you vote for identity of person who respects body. Each time you read instead of scroll, you vote for identity of learner. Each time you clean space, you vote for identity of organized adult. You do not become disciplined by announcing it. You become disciplined by proving it to yourself in repeated moments. Proof does not need to be dramatic. Small proof counts. 10 minutes exercise counts. 1 page reading counts. 1 honest budget review counts. 1 clean workspace counts. 1 difficult conversation handled calmly counts. Many people fail because they try to change everything at once. They design perfect morning routine, strict diet, intense workout plan, long reading schedule, meditation practice, new sleep routine, and full life overhaul in one day. For short time, excitement carries them. Then pressure becomes too much and old habits return. Better method is gradual strength. Choose one habit, make it small, repeat until stable, then add another. Discipline grows like muscle, not explosion. If you cannot meditate 20 minutes, meditate 2. If you cannot run 5 miles, walk 10 minutes. If you cannot read hour, read 2 pages. Consistency beats intensity when building identity. Handling bad days. No routine survives without bad days. You will oversleep. You will eat something unplanned. You will miss workout. You will waste time. Important question is not whether slip happens. Important question is how quickly you return. Undisciplined mind says, I failed, so day is ruined. Disciplined mind says, I slipped, now I correct. 1 missed habit is mistake. 2 missed days can become pattern. Do not let 1 failure become identity. Use reset rule. Never miss twice if you can help it. If morning fails, win evening. If diet fails at lunch, eat clean dinner. If you skipped reading yesterday, read today. Momentum returns when you stop dramatizing failure and start acting again. Environment matters. Discipline becomes easier when environment supports desired behavior. Put book beside bed. Put workout clothes where you see them. Keep water bottle nearby. Place phone away from desk. Remove junk food from home. Use calendar. Set reminders. Prepare meals. Arrange space so good action is visible and bad action is inconvenient. People often blame character when problem is design. If cookies sit on counter, phone sits in hand and television remote sits on lap. Temptation wins more often. If healthy food is ready, phone is charging in another room, and book is open on table, better choices become easier. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Strong people do not rely only on force. They build systems. The compound effect of small habits. Daily habits may seem unimpressive in beginning. 1 walk does not transform body. 1 page does not make expert. 1 early morning does not build empire. But repeated small actions compound. If you improve slightly each day, months change. If you neglect slightly each day, months also change, but in wrong direction. Life rarely collapses from 1 bad decision. It usually declines through repeated small compromises. Life rarely transforms from 1 perfect day. It improves through repeated small wins. Discipline is respect for future self. Every helpful habit is gift sent forward. Every harmful habit is debt future self must pay. Choose which future you want to meet. Closing of Chapter 5. When you have lived with bad habits for years, breaking them can feel difficult. That does not mean impossible. Habits were learned through repetition, and better habits can be learned same way. Start with morning. Protect final hour of day. Practice gratitude. Set daily goals. Sleep well. Stay organized. Pray, meditate, and read before world begins making demands. Do not wait until you feel ready. Readiness often comes after action, not before. Take 1 habit from this chapter and begin today. Repeat it tomorrow. Let proof build. Discipline becomes easier when it becomes familiar. In next chapter, focus turns toward building better habits more effectively, so self-discipline becomes not one-time effort, but way of life. Chapter 6. Tips for building better habits. Look at Navy SEALs, and you see discipline in human form. Earning that title is brutal. The selection process is designed to expose every weak point in body and mind. Many soldiers begin training with confidence, but most do not make it through even first stage. Those who do survive learn one lesson again and again. Mind can command body far beyond what comfort says is possible. That kind of mental strength does not appear by luck. It is trained. It is tested. It is sharpened under pressure until soldier can stay calm, keep moving, and finish mission when fear, pain, and exhaustion all say stop. Or you and I may never need to operate like SEALs in combat, but same principles can help us build stronger habits and deeper self-discipline in normal life. The 40% rule, everything begins in mind. If you lift weights, run, train, or push through any hard physical task, you know moment when body starts sending warning messages. Muscles burn. Breathing gets rough. Mind says, enough, we are done. The 40% rule says that when mind first tells you to quit, you have usually reached only about 40% of what you can truly do. That message is not final truth. It is early alarm. It is comfort system trying to protect you from pain, not proof that you are empty. At that point, choice appears. You can believe tired voice and stop, or you can decide there is still more in reserve. To cross that 40% line, you must accept discomfort in that exact moment, not tomorrow, not when motivated, right there, while body is complaining and mind is negotiating. Most people never discover their real capacity because they quit as soon as effort becomes unpleasant. First burn becomes finish line. First doubt becomes command. But when you use 40% rule, you begin to see that your limits are often softer than they look. You learn that voice in your head is not always wise. Sometimes it is only afraid. Imagine doing pull-ups. You reach 10, arms shake, and mind starts talking. Too tired, too weak, too sore. Stop now. But instead of obeying, you pause for a few seconds, breathe, and do one more. Then one more. Maybe pace slows. Maybe form takes focus. But soon you reach 15, then 20. You did not magically become stronger in those seconds. You revealed strength that was already there, hidden behind early resistance. Every time you prove that quitting voice wrong, confidence grows. Mental toughness grows. Self-discipline grows because discipline is endurance under pressure. It is continuing when comfort has left room. Belief is not childish fantasy. Belief changes performance. When you believe you can do more, you act differently. You push deeper. You stay longer. You break limits you once accepted as facts. Your mind can become greatest ally when you trust your capacity. But if you accept failure story, mind becomes enemy, whispering defeat before battle is over. Next time you want to give up, remember 40% rule. Ask yourself, is this true failure or just first wall? Most of time, it is first wall. Think about marathon. Suppose you are not trained, but you decide to run anyway. After some distance, legs feel heavy. Breath disappears. Pain rises. You realize this was a bad idea. Under normal conditions, quitting may feel sensible. Why suffer? Why keep running? Now change situation. Someone dangerous is chasing you. Your life depends on running. Suddenly, tired legs find more distance. Breath still burns, but you keep going. Why? Because stakes forced your mind to access reserves you did not know existed. That example shows uncomfortable truths. Most of us do not know what we can do because we rarely demand enough from ourselves. We settle. We gain weight, buy bigger clothes, and pretend nothing changed. We stay in jobs we hate because bills get paid. We tolerate small misery because change feels harder than staying stuck. But when we never challenge ourselves, we never glimpse our true potential. People who master discipline choose to be more than average. That is why we admire elite athletes. Yes, sports are entertaining, but deeper fascination comes from watching people master craft. We see years of sacrifice expressed in one movement. If we invested even part of time we spend watching experts into developing our own expertise, life would look very different. Research supports this mind-body connection. Placebo effect shows that belief can improve performance. In one study published in the European Journal of Neuroscience, participants were given sugar pills, but told pills were caffeine. Believing they had taken caffeine, they put more effort into weightlifting. Their bodies responded to expectation. Scientists describe placebo effect as self-fulfilling prophecy. Brain accepts possible outcome, then begins organizing body to match it. Chemical changes happen even when external trigger is fake. This does not mean belief replaces training, but it proves belief changes what training can access. If you truly believe more remains in tank, you are more likely to find it. Arousal control stress floods body with cortisol and adrenaline. Fight, flight, or freeze response turns on. For average person, this reaction feels automatic. Heart races, breath gets shallow, thoughts scatter. But Navy SEALs train to regulate this response because in real missions, uncontrolled stress can mean death. One method they use is box breathing. When stress rises, they control breath in 4-part rhythm. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold again for 4 seconds. Repeat until heart rate slows and mind clears. This technique matters because stressed mind cannot operate at full capacity. Panic narrows attention. Anxiety wastes energy. If you want to make disciplined decisions, you need calm. Box breathing gives you a tool you can use anywhere. Before difficult conversation, during craving, in gym, at work, or when fear starts controlling behavior. Many people talk about managing stress as if stress must always remain in driver's seat. SEAL training suggests another possibility. With practice, you can interrupt stress response before it owns you. The 10x Rule Grant. Cardone popularized 10x Rule. Idea is simple. Set goals 10 times larger than desired result, so your actions become 10 times stronger. The purpose is not reckless fantasy. Purpose is to stretch your view of what is possible and force you to evaluate whether your current thoughts and actions are big enough for life you claim to want. Your current life is result of repeated thoughts and repeated actions. If you want life beyond current limits, same thinking will not take you there. You must think bigger, act bigger, and expect more from yourself. Take weight loss. If goal is to lose 10 pounds, 10x thinking asks, what would I do if goal were 100 pounds? You may not need to lose 100 pounds, but that larger frame changes strategy. Losing 10 pounds might tempt you into short diet, quick burst, temporary restriction. Once weight drops, old habits return. But thinking in terms of 100 pounds pushes you toward lifestyle change. Different food environment, consistent movement, long-term identity shift. 10x rule increases discipline because larger vision demands stronger structure. Most people set small goals to protect ego. If goal is tiny, failure hurts less. But small goals often produce small effort. If you want more life, raise standard. Stop building goals around fear of failure. Build them around person you are becoming. The 10-minute rule. Humans like to think we are best decision makers because our brains are advanced. But studies sometimes embarrass us. In one Harvard experiment, chimpanzees and humans were offered choice. Take 2 treats now, or wait 6 minutes and get 6 treats. Chimpanzees waited for better reward 72% of time. Humans waited only 19%. Why would humans do worse? Because humans can rationalize. We can explain away bad choices with clever stories. I deserve it. I am hungry. I do not care about later. This one time does not matter. Chimpanzees do not build complex excuses. They act from basic survival instinct and often choose larger reward. 10-minute rule works at exact moment rationalization begins. If you want chips while trying to lose weight, pause for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, ask again. If you still want chips, you can choose consciously, but often urge weakens. You may even decide to wait another 10 minutes because first delay proved you can. This rule removes immediate from immediate gratification. It gives higher mind time to re-enter conversation. It trains patience, decision-making, and discipline. Use same method in gym. If you want to leave treadmill because tiredness rises, run 10 more minutes before deciding. Many times you discover you were not done, you were only uncomfortable. 10 minutes becomes bridge between impulse and strength. Discipline is not easy. No one is born fully disciplined. SEALs build it through training. You build it same way, through repeated choices that teach mind to stay steady when discomfort speaks loudly. Chapter 7. What is hindering your discipline? Some people drain your energy. We call them energy vampires because their negativity leaves you tired, doubtful, and smaller. But people are not only thing that can weaken discipline. Hidden patterns can do same damage. Bad habits, lazy assumptions, poor motivations, wrong beliefs, and subtle excuses that sound reasonable. Most people know success requires discipline. So why do so few become disciplined enough to reach full potential? Blame is useless. We must take responsibility. Still, it helps to see traps clearly. Discipline can slip away quietly when you do not know what is stealing it. Parkinson's Law. Procrastinators often say they work best under pressure. Parkinson's Law explains why that excuse feels true. British historian Cyril Parkinson observed that work expands to fill time available. While working around British civil service, he noticed bureaucracy grew while efficiency dropped. Give people more time and space, and tasks become bigger than necessary. Give them tight deadline, and suddenly they simplify. This happens in daily life. If you give yourself 2 weeks to complete a task that could take 2 days, you may spend 12 days circling it, adjusting it, thinking about it, and making it more complicated. But if deadline is tomorrow, you cut waste and finish. If Parkinson's law weakens your discipline, fight it with tighter deadlines. Set early finish times. Give tasks clear limits. Pressure does not need to arrive from outside. Create it yourself. Early deadlines keep you challenged and reduce last-minute panic. You finish sooner, think clearer, and avoid turning simple work into mountain. Discipline versus procrastination. Procrastination blocks discipline because it hides behind respectable language. We say we are waiting for right time, right mood, right resources, right circumstances. But often, waiting is only fear in formal clothing. Maybe legs are sore, so you skip gym. Sounds fair, but you could train up a body. You could do light cardio. You could stretch. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, whether mood agrees or not. Inaction and excuses are twins. They look different, but both lead to failure. If you wait until conditions are perfect, battle is already lost. Perfect conditions do not exist. Something will always be inconvenient. If you make excuses today, you are training yourself to make excuses tomorrow. When you say, "I cannot do it now," you teach mind that action belongs to future version of you. But future you is built by present you. Take smoking. If you say, "I will quit when work gets less stressful," you may never quit. Work will always have pressure. Life will always create reasons. Waiting for calm life before building discipline is like waiting for ocean to stop moving before learning to swim. Doubt is normal when stepping beyond comfort zone. Starting business, writing book, training body, repairing finances, changing relationship patterns, all of it brings uncertainty. Challenge is exciting because it stretches you, and frightening for same reason. Start anyway. Right time is now, even if readiness is incomplete. Planning can also become procrastination. Planning matters, but over-planning drains action. The more time you spend perfecting map, less time you spend walking road. Start project, then adjust while moving. Details often become clear only after action begins. Society makes this worse by selling perfection. Perfect marriage, perfect career, perfect image, perfect lifestyle. Since perfection is impossible, fear of failure rises and people delay. They postpone real work because they cannot guarantee flawless results. Once you understand that perfection and procrastination are both enemies, action becomes easier. The 70% rule. One strong weapon against procrastination is 70% rule. Begin when you are about 70% sure. Do not wait for 100% certainty because it will never come. You cannot know whether something works until you test it. Discipline grows through consistent action. When you reach 70% readiness, move. If you want to run marathon but can only run 2 miles now, those 2 miles are your 70%. Start there. Training will build next level. Waiting until you feel like marathon runner before running is backwards. You become runner by running. False hope syndrome. False hope syndrome is belief that changing behavior will be easy. It creates big emotional promises and unrealistic plans. Then life hits. Old habits return, and failure feels like proof that change is impossible. Many people underestimate how hard bad habits are to break. They imagine transformation without battle. Psychology professor Peter Herman noted that failure is often more common than success because people aim for extreme change they cannot sustain. Inspiration can be powerful but brief. One evening you feel fired up, right plan, imagine new life, and believe everything will shift. Then work stress, family demands, fatigue, bills and daily routine return. Vision fades because mind focuses on getting through today, not building goal that may take years. Big dreams take time. There is no real overnight success. People you admire often endured years of rejection, confusion, discipline, and sacrifice before public saw result. We see outcome and assume path was easy. Most people say they want success, but when cost becomes visible, they step away. If discipline feels blocked, inspect your actions without drama. Where are you making things harder? Where are you sabotaging progress? Discipline is already uncomfortable. Do not add hidden traps. Chapter 8. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Self-discipline is not comfortable. You do not need discipline to eat junk food, scroll phone, sleep late, or watch favorite show. Those actions pull you naturally because they feel good now. Discipline is required when better future demands discomfort today. Most people will not choose discomfort unless desire is strong. They wake up barely in time, eat when hunger appears, sleep when tired, and follow path of least resistance. Nothing can make discipline fully comfortable. You need endurance to move through discomfort and mental toughness to resist instinct that says, choose easier road. Practice being uncomfortable. Earlier idea said willpower is like muscle that gets tired, but muscle also grows stronger through training. You strengthen willpower by doing uncomfortable things regularly. You become familiar with discomfort, then less afraid of it. Stepping outside comfort zone teaches that fear is often exaggerated. One acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. Mind imagines threat, then treats imagination like fact. Only way to expose false evidence is to walk into it and see what happens. Each time you face discomfort, tolerance rises. Jia Jiang became known for TED Talk about rejection. To overcome social anxiety and fear of rejection, he spent 100 days seeking rejection on purpose. He asked stranger for $100. He knocked on door and asked to play soccer in backyard. He asked restaurant for extra food without paying. Over time, he discovered people were often kinder than expected. Rejection lost its sharpness. Confidence grew because he trained himself inside discomfort. His story applies everywhere. Your fears are training grounds. If you avoid speaking to strangers, introduce yourself to someone. If you cannot dance, take dance class. If you are too passive, practice speaking clearly. If you are too forceful, practice restraint. Do opposite of comfort now and then, not to punish yourself, but to expand yourself. Getting used to discomfort is one of fastest ways to improve discipline. Everyone has fears, insecurities, and weak spots. Most people organize life around avoiding them. Avoidance shrinks potential. Choosing discomfort expands it. As this practice strengthens willpower, you can begin changing habits and addictions that damage you. Struggle is part of growth. If you want discipline, discomfort is entry fee. Goal is to turn agonizing pain into slight sting. Hunger becomes signal that diet is being followed, not emergency. Temporary discomfort becomes price of long-term benefits. When you practice embracing discomfort, every area of life improves. Mind becomes more agile. Circumstances lose power. Discipline does not care whether you feel ready. It matters most when you feel least ready. Urge surfing. Building discipline is hard, but some tools make it easier. One is learning to reduce power of urges. An urge is mental and physical impulse to perform familiar behavior. Psychologist Alan Marlett popularized term urge surfing while working in addiction field. He compared urges to ocean waves. They rise, crest, fall, and eventually crash. You do not need to drown in them. You can surf them until they pass. Think of recent urge, maybe food, phone, cigarette, anger, gossip, or laziness. Notice how it felt in body and mind. Did chest tighten? Mouth water? Hands reach? Mood shift? Now imagine urge as wave underneath you. It rises. You breathe. It moves. You stay on board. Usually we identify with urges. We say, I want cake. Better wording is, I am having urge to eat cake. That small distance matters. You are not fighting yourself. You are observing sensation. You can let it pass. Urges are harder when fought directly. Average urge may peak around 20 to 30 minutes if you wrestle with it. Fighting often makes it stronger because attention feeds it. Then confidence drops because urge seems unbeatable. Temptation has less power than you think. You give it strength when you treat it as command. Drug addict in rehab, cut off from usual access, often experiences fewer cravings than when surrounded by triggers. Environment and permission feed urge. Another image. Urge is waterfall. Fighting urge is like standing under waterfall trying to block it with hands. Pressure builds and eventually breaks through harder. Better approach. Step back and watch water fall. You are not water. You are observer. Curiosity weakens fear. Study urges instead of panicking. Watch how they start, where they live in body, how they change, and how they fade. Once you learn urge surfing, you gain tool for any addiction or bad habit. Are you feeding your urges? Many people try to think themselves out of urge or distract themselves. This can backfire because suppression feeds thought. You start believing only way to remove urge is to obey it. Then bad habit feels permanent. Distraction sounds logical. Why not focus elsewhere instead of indulging? Sometimes changing environment helps, but pure suppression often fails. Studies show that pushing thoughts, sensations, and feelings away can make them stronger. Try not thinking about elephant after someone says, "Do not think about elephant." Elephant appears immediately. More you resist, more mind returns. Urges work same way. Urge surfing leaves you calm because you are not tricking mind. You are training it. You surf through discomfort. Over time, feeling urge without obeying becomes normal. That is discipline. When urge appears, follow simple process. 1. Locate urge in body. Well, many urges have physical center: throat, stomach, hands, chest, mouth, jaw. 2. Put attention on that area. Observe sensations without judging them. 3. Spend 2 minutes focusing on breath. 4. Imagine each sensation as wave. It rises and falls. You ride it. 5. As urge settles, notice what changes. After you surf one urge successfully, confidence rises. You remember urges are temporary. They feel permanent only when you forget their nature. Hunger is a good example. First hunger pang can feel like command to eat now. Irritation rises. Productivity drops. But people who fast learn hunger comes in waves. It passes. Sometimes hunger appears because you are bored or tired, not because body is empty. If you observe it for a few minutes instead of treating it as emergency, it often fades. Study urges. Experiment with them, and notice that they do not become part of you unless you fight them or surrender to them. When you watch them come and go, they lose authority. Chapter 9. Focus on the system. Successful people set goals. Weight loss goals, money goals, school goals, relationship goals, career goals. Everyone has some version. But how many people actually reach them? Research suggests not many. Problem is usually not goal itself. Problem is system. Goal describes result. System describes process that creates result. If football coach wants championship, staring at trophy does not win games. Daily practice, drills, recovery, strategy, teamwork and skill development create wins. Outcome matters, but system produces outcome. This does not mean goals are useless. You need direction. If you do not know destination, you cannot design paths. But if you spend all time dreaming about destination and little time building system, you join crowd that fails New Year's resolutions year after year. What differentiates the winners from the losers? Every Olympic athlete wants gold. Every job candidate wants offer. Every competitor wants victory. If goals were enough, everyone would win. Difference is strategy and system. Winner prepared better, trained smarter, recovered properly, handled pressure, and executed when it mattered. Losers may have wanted same result, but wanting did not build path. Goals don't last. If you don't change your habits. Maybe room is messy for 2 months. You set goal to clean it. You clean it. 2 weeks later, it looks destroyed again. Why? Because habit of disorder remains. Maybe you want to lose 10 pounds. You force yourself through 30-day smoothie fast and weight drops. 2 months later, weight returns. Why? Eating identity and daily habits never changed. This is bad system. You keep chasing outcomes instead of fixing inputs. It is like taking painkiller for headache every day while ignoring dehydration. Treat cause and symptom disappears. Solving problem only at result level gives temporary relief. Change inputs and outputs begin changing naturally. Reaching your goals puts a limit on your happiness. When happiness depends on future goal, you postpone living. When I reach that weight, I will be happy. When I make enough money, I will be happy. When I buy a house, I will be happy. Goals may be good, but this mindset makes happiness something future self may earn later. Goal-only thinking also creates either-or identity. Achieve goal and you are success. Miss goal and you are failure. But life rarely moves in straight line. You may reach destination by route you did not plan. It may take longer than expected. That does not make you failure. Systems approach solves this. If system is running, you can feel satisfied now because you are living in alignment with direction. You are not waiting for finish line to allow peace. Process itself becomes evidence that you are moving. The yo-yo effect. When all motivation is attached to single goal, what happens after goal is achieved? Often people relax, old habits return, and progress reverses. Goal was finish line, so once crossed, behavior stops. Goal says win game. System says keep playing. Life is not one achievement. Life is continuous improvement. Dedication to process determines long-term progress. If good habits feel hard, it does not mean you are broken. Bad habits persist because system is wrong. Change system or repeat failure. Why you keep on repeating bad habits. Most people know pattern. Start good habit, feel great for day or two, then slide back. Exercise, journaling, meditation, planning, healthy eating, all begin strong, then become burden. Bad habits feel glued to identity. Smoking, junk food, procrastination, too much television, endless scrolling. Two problems create this. First, we try to change wrong thing. Second, we try to change it wrong way. There are layers to change. Think of change like onion. Several layers exist. 1. The outcome. This is result you want. Lose 20 pounds. Win competition. Publish book. Build savings. 2. The process. This is habit and system layer. Exercise daily. Keep desk organized. Cook meals. Meditate. Practice craft. 3. Your identity. This is belief layer. It includes how you see yourself, others, and world. Outcomes focus on what you get. Process focuses on what you do. Identity focuses on who you believe you are. Many people begin with outcome. They want result, but they do not want lifestyle. They change temporarily to get reward. Then reward arrives or motivation fades, and old identity pulls them back. Think of person dieting for wedding or vacation. They lose weight, event ends, then pizza and couch return. Why? They never became healthy person. They only became person trying to look different for deadline. Smoking example makes this clear. 2 people quit. Someone offers cigarette. First says, "No thanks, I am trying to quit." Sounds fine, but identity remains smoker who is resisting. Second says, "No thanks, I do not smoke." That person has adopted new identity. Former smoker, not current smoker in struggle. Lasting change requires identity change. Most people focus only on outcome. They want body like athlete, money like investor, calm like monk, skill like master. But actions come from beliefs. If belief system stays same, behavior returns to match it. Every action has belief underneath. If you do not believe in church, you will not build life around church. If you believe spending money is normal because childhood taught you that, financial goals will fight old identity. If stress means binge eating in your mind, diet plans will collapse under pressure. You cannot remove bad habits permanently without changing belief system attached to them. Change your belief system. Brian Clark, entrepreneur from Boulder, struggled with nail biting. He started as child when nervous, and habit continued into adulthood. Pressure from family and friends pushed him to stop long enough for nails to grow. With willpower, he managed it. Then he asked wife to book manicure. His thought was simple. If he paid to care for nails, maybe he would stop destroying them. After manicure, hands looked good. He liked result. Manicurist told him nails could be healthy if he stopped biting. Suddenly, belief changed. Nails were no longer things to chew. They were things to groom and protect. He did not merely fight bad habit. He built new identity. Person who cares for nails. That identity replaced old behavior. Your identity and good habits. Habits are part of identity. When good habit becomes part of who you are, it lasts because maintaining it protects self-image. If you see yourself as strong, fit person, you are less likely to skip training for snooze button. If you take pride in hair, you maintain routine. If you identify as reader, you read without needing dramatic motivation. Motivation alone does not create lifestyle. Someone may train for charity marathon and then stop after race because runner identity never formed. Better goals sound like identity statements. Become person who reads consistently, not person who reads one book. Become runner, not person who runs one marathon. Become musician, not person who learns one song. Behavior reflects identity. Research shows people act in line with what they believe about themselves. Once good habits become identity, effort decreases because behavior feels natural. But identity can also trap you. Statements repeated for years become mental prison. I do not follow directions well. I am bad at math. I am terrible with computers. I am always late. I never remember names. I am not morning person. When you accept these as facts, subconscious protects them. Any behavior that challenges self-image feels wrong. You become comfortable acting in ways that match identity even when those actions hurt you. Emergencies may interrupt good habits sometimes. That is normal. But many people call themselves too busy while spending hours on social media. Identity decides what feels possible. To make progress, you must unlearn old habits and old stories. Chapter 10. Zen Philosophy and Goal Attainment. Imagine facing life's hard moments without collapsing inside. Imagine plans failing, yet you stay calm and keep moving. Imagine releasing fear that you have not done enough, fear of future, even fear of death. Zen points toward that kind of freedom. Zen is ancient philosophy that shaped Eastern life for thousands of years. Its ideas can strengthen self-discipline because they train mind to stay present, accept discomfort, and act without being ruled by fear. In recent decades, researchers in psychology and self-development have studied Zen practitioners because their mental health often appears strong. Penn State researchers spent years examining Zen practices and concluded that habits like meditation can reduce stress, improve decision-making, and create calm. Zen Buddhists carry deep wisdom about goals, fear, and delayed gratification. These are foundations of discipline. Zen is not treated here as religion. It is life experience rooted in Buddha's teachings. Japanese word satori relates to sudden insight or first awakening. To experience Zen, you must live in present moment and sense that everything connects. The life of Buddha. Thousands of years ago, Buddha shared observations that came from enlightenment. Two ideas stood at center. First, suffering is a natural part of human life. Second, much of suffering comes from our own attachments and interpretations. Buddha left luxury because he wanted to understand existence. He looked at the world and saw many unhappy people. Eventually, he concluded that meaningful life requires letting go of self-centered separation. We must loosen the idea of I versus you and recognize interconnection. When that insight grows, obsession with possessions, status, and approval loses grip. Energy can move toward moral development, wisdom, and balanced living. We suffer less when we stop believing external events must make us happy. Living in the present moment. Buddhist thought teaches present moment living. Past is memory and interpretation. Future has not arrived. Worrying about how everything must turn out creates needless suffering. Self-identity shows why this matters. Zen teaches that rigid ideas about who we are can imprison us. A person may see themselves as high achiever. That sounds positive, but it can become mental burden. If childhood praise taught you that success is your identity, failure becomes terrifying. You work endlessly for grades, titles, and approval you may not even care about. Each achievement gives brief pleasure, then pressure returns. If failure happens, self-image collapses because identity was built on winning. For high achiever, failure can feel like loss of control over life. Zen challenges that attachment. You are not only your achievements. You are not fixed label. Zen philosophy and self-discipline. Zen supports self-discipline in several ways. First, it teaches that suffering cannot be avoided completely. Since difficulty is part of life, you prepare for it instead of acting shocked by it. Working toward goals becomes a way to meet life with strength. Second, Zen trains mind. Instead of wasting energy on regret, rumination, and imagined disasters, you return to present moment. That saves energy for useful action. Third, Zen reduces fear. Fear often comes from imagining worst possible future. When you stop feeding negative possibilities, fear loses control. Mind becomes clearer. Calm increases because you are no longer wrestling every dark thought. Some people ask, if Buddhism focuses on present, why set goals at all? But Zen does not oppose achievement. Planning future is wise. Problem is living in fear of future. Buddha's eightfold path includes right speech, right view, and right action. These are proactive aims. They show that disciplined direction fits Zen when rooted in awareness. Present living helps goals because attention shifts to next step. Instead of staring at distance between you and dream, you do today's work. Without present focus, current lack can demotivate you. Journey looks too long. Zen brings you back to one step. How to master self-discipline, the Shaolin way. Shaolin monks are among most disciplined people on earth. Their lives show Zen principles in action. Shaolin Monastery in China is one of best-known Zen Buddhist temples. History says it began around 1500 years ago when Buddhist teacher Bugabhadra came from India to China. He believed teachings should pass from master to student not only through written texts. Chinese emperor supported him and funded temple. Shaolin monks trained spiritually and physically. Their martial arts became legendary. Techniques like Iron Head show extreme conditioning. Trained monks can break concrete slab with forehead. Over centuries, temple faced attacks and destruction, yet monks remain known worldwide for discipline and skill. Their day often begins around 5 a.m. and ends around 11 p.m. Time centers on temple duties, kung fu, and Buddhist study. They prepare food, clean, train, meditate, and study. Outside interests are limited. Possessions are few. New monk shaves head as sign of commitment to Buddha's teachings and release from attachment to appearance and material things. Matthew Ahmet, British-born monk who trained at Shaolin, noticed major differences between monks and Westerners. First, monks live simply. Basic facilities, no easy comfort, hand-washed clothes, few luxuries. This creates gratitude. When small things matter, mental health improves. World feels abundant instead of empty. Second, monks do not believe wealth and possessions create happiness. They do not envy ordinary life because training teaches that true fulfillment comes from mission and passion. For them, progress is physical, spiritual, and mental. Lesson applies to anyone. When goal aligns with values, passion carries you through difficulty. Purpose keeps you moving when distance feels long. Third, monks do not glorify injury. Their history required fitness to defend temple. Injured or exhausted monk could not protect anyone. So even with intense training, they value recovery. They understand busy does not always mean productive. To avoid burnout, you must slow down. Meditation helps build psychological strength, quiet inner noise, and balance work with rest. Shaolin monks meditate for hours. Kung Fu tradition values emotional control because fighter ruled by impulse becomes vulnerable. Qi describes essential life energy. In Chinese, Qi relates to air, energy, and temper. Through Kung Fu and Tai Chi, monks train balance, concentration, awareness, and energy control. Tai Chi teaches slow, focused movement so fighter remains present and ready. Shaolin monks believe mastery of Qi helps them withstand force and injury. Whether taken literally or symbolically, principle is powerful. Disciplined attention changes how body and mind respond under pressure. Meditation also helps uncover purpose. Shaolin monks do not wake up lost, wondering why they must rise. They know path. They pursue mental, physical, and spiritual excellence because inner conviction drives them. For them, meditation is not occasional exercise. It is way of life. They aim to live with concentration and mindfulness throughout day. Like Navy SEALs, Shaolin monks sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term mastery. Their worlds differ, but discipline principle is same. Routine, purpose, mental control, and willingness to endure discomfort. Chapter 11. Meditation for Self-Discipline and Focus. Meditation is one of strongest tools for self-discipline. Many people avoid it because they imagine sitting cross-legged for hours, humming and being bored. That picture is false. Meditation does not require hours. It does not require dramatic posture. More importantly, meditation is not only practice session, it is way of living with awareness. Before techniques, understand benefits. The benefits of meditation. Meditation improves concentration. It trains you to place attention where you choose instead of letting every thought pull you away. It strengthens rational decision-making. It helps delay instant gratification so long-term goals matter more than short-term impulses. Life will still bring problems. Meditation will not remove bills, conflict, loss, deadlines, or temptation. But it helps you respond with more calm and less chaos. You become less reactive. Meditation can help you meet even painful circumstances with steadier mind. That steadiness is discipline. Science supports this. Journal PNAS published study showing people can begin experiencing benefits after about 7 days. 40 undergraduate students received 20 minutes of meditation training for 5 days. Psychological tests showed they became less anxious, less stressed, and less tired than control group. Think about productivity if thoughts were easier to manage and energy was higher. Even when motivation is low, meditation-trained focus can help push you through. That is essence of self-discipline, doing what matters without needing perfect mood. Meditation techniques. Read instructions several times before beginning so you do not keep interrupting practice to check steps. The just sitting technique. This seated meditation is called Zazen. Shaolin monks practice it often. Sit comfortably. Use chair, floor with crossed legs, or lotus position if body allows. Avoid lying in bed if it makes you sleepy. Sleep is useful, but meditation requires wakefulness. Keep back straight but not stiff. Mouth closed but relaxed. Eyes open, not staring. Let gaze rest softly on the floor about 2 feet ahead. Once posture is steady, turn attention to mind. One method is breath focus. Breathing anchors you in present moment and quiets mental chatter. Notice air moving through nostrils and mouth. Breathe from stomach, not chest. Shallow chest breathing limits oxygen and can increase tiredness. Slow breathing through nose and out through mouth helps balance body, especially for anxiety or panic. Proper breathing has health benefits because it supports oxygen flow and calms nervous system. It also gives mind simple object to return to whenever thoughts wander. The Shikantaza technique. Second technique is Shikantasa, meaning just sitting. It can be harder, so do not quit if first attempts feel messy. Sit and notice what happens around you and inside you. Most people discover mind is noisy. Thoughts, memories, worries, plans, judgments, and random fragments all appear. Aim is not to judge yourself. Aim is to acknowledge thought and let it pass. Imagine thoughts as clouds moving through sky. You cannot force sky empty, but you can watch clouds drift. You do not need to chase each one. When you learn this, negative thoughts lose some power. You can redirect energy toward useful action instead of being dragged into every mental story. Whether focusing on breath or just sitting, mind will wander. Thoughts may say, "This is stupid." I am wasting time, or I think too much to meditate. Do not fight chatter. When you notice attention has wandered, return to present gently. Do not condemn yourself. Criticism creates more chatter. Meditation is skill. Practice improves it. If you have lived fast-paced Western life for years, do not expect perfect peace overnight. Still, research suggests consistent practice can bring more calm and emotional control within about 7 days. If sitting still is too hard, or anxiety makes stillness unbearable, try Kinhin, Zen walking meditation. Remove shoes and socks. Stand straight without stiffening. Keep weight balanced and body grounded. Draw thumb toward palm. Wrap fingers around thumb and place hand lightly against stomach above belly button. Put right hand over left. Look softly at floor about 6 feet ahead. Step forward with right foot. With each breath in and out, take 1 slow step. Walk clockwise with controlled movement. Keeping even pace requires discipline. This trains self-control through body. Each completed session proves you can master movement, attention, and impulse. For building habits, start small and scale up. Begin with 10 minutes daily, 5 minutes morning, 5 minutes evening. Make meditation non-negotiable. Do not try to meditate. Do it. Trying leaves escape hatch. Doing builds our identity.
Chapter 12, Why You Should Never Try and Do. Writing is small in language, but huge in effect. Stop using the word try as your default. Promise that word sounds harmless. It even sounds humble, but it can quietly weaken your self-image, lower your standards, and give your mind permission to accept less than full commitment. Words shape identity. What you say out loud and what you repeat inside your head affects how you see yourself. If you keep telling yourself, I will try, you train your mind to believe effort is enough, even when no result follows. But self-discipline is not built on vague effort. It is built on decisions, actions, and follow-through. This chapter is about removing that weak space between intention and execution. When you replace try with do, you stop giving yourself a soft exit.
You begin acting like someone who expects to move, expects to finish, and expects to be responsible for the outcome. Stop trying your best. Most of us heard the phrase, try your best, when we were young. Parents and teachers usually meant well. They wanted children to feel encouraged, not crushed by failure. They told us that as long as we made an effort, the result did not matter. We heard sayings like, at least you tried, and taking part matters more than winning. Those ideas can comfort a child, but in adult life, they can become dangerous if they teach you that effort without completion is enough. Life does not always give second chances. Sometimes one opportunity appears, and if you hesitate, it passes. Sometimes you must act with full strength in moment you have, because that exact moment will never return. From this point forward, do not build your life around trying. Build it around doing. Decide. Move. Commit. When you act with that kind of courage, you begin to respect yourself more. Other people also notice. They see someone who takes ownership instead of someone who waits, delays, and hides behind fear of failure. When you say, "I will try," you often admit before starting that you are not fully expecting success. You leave room for quitting. You lower the ceiling on what you believe you can achieve. Yes, sometimes things may still work out while you carry a try mindset. Luck may help. Circumstances may favor you. But as rule, life responds better to action than to soft intention. If you give life half commitment, you often get half results. If you give it decisive action, results improve. Try also has no clear measurement. How much trying counts as enough? 10 minutes? 1 day? 1 week? A half-hearted attempt? Because effort is easy to exaggerate, it opens door to self-deception. You can say, "I tried," even when your effort was weak, inconsistent, and short-lived. Doing is different. Doing leaves evidence. Did you complete task or not? Did you show up or not? Did you make call, write pages, finish workout, submit application, save money, or keep promise? With doing, excuses have little room to live. Self-discipline grows when you stop negotiating with yourself and start producing proof. Become a doer. Being a doer does not mean pretending you can accomplish anything overnight. It means trusting yourself while staying realistic. If you need to lose 100 pounds, do not expect 1 month of dieting and exercise to finish entire journey. Doers are not fantasy thinkers. They take honest inventory of strengths, weaknesses, skills, resources, and limits. That honest inventory is itself an act of discipline. It takes courage to face yourself clearly. It is easier to complain, blame, and sink into poor me thinking. But pity does not move you closer to your goal. Clarity does. If you already have what you need, act. If you need help from people who know more, ask. If you need new qualifications, training, or practice, get them. A doer does not wait for perfect conditions. A doer identifies gap, then closes it. Belief matters too. You need confidence that your actions connect to your goal. That requires reflection. You must think about who you are, where your life is going, and whether your daily behavior matches destination you claim to want. By now, one truth should be clear. Anything valuable requires work, patience, and dedication. Before starting any new project, know what you want. Do not leave goal floating in your head. Write it down. If your aim is unclear, pause before rushing into action. Unclear goals waste time, energy, and confidence. When you fail to plan, you increase chance of failure. You may also become known as someone who starts many things and finishes none. That pattern damages self-esteem because every unfinished project becomes another piece of evidence against your own word. Solution is simple, though not always easy. Choose goals that fit your ability and current season. Stretch yourself, yes, but do not build plan on fantasy. Once you know goal is possible and meaningful, commit fully. Trying is uncertain and weak. Doing is firm, direct, and self-respecting. Consider weight loss example. If you say, I will try to work out this week and I will try to follow diet, you have already built failure into statement. Your words reveal doubt. You start thinking about what happens if you miss target. Your focus moves toward failure instead of success. But if you say, I am going to work out 4 days this week and follow this meal plan, mind receives clearer command. You start seeing future version of yourself, leaner, stronger, more confident, wearing clothes you like, moving with pride. That image pulls you forward. Set realistic goals and believe in yourself. Successful people understand that belief and action belong together. They do not live in try. They decide and do. Deepak Chopra, known for energy, productivity, and global influence in personal development, has often shared this same idea in simple form. Do not try, do. To move from person who tries to person who does, start with goals small enough to keep. If 5 minutes of daily exercise is realistic, begin there. That small promise, kept repeatedly, teaches your brain that discipline is possible. Confidence does not come only from big wins. It comes from proving you can keep small commitments. Positive self-talk supports this change. After setting realistic goal, remind yourself through day, I am doing this, not maybe, not I hope, not I will try. Clear language builds clear behavior. When you know where you are going and how you intend to get there, odds of arrival improve. Direction removes waste. Commitment removes confusion. In next chapter, focus shifts to habits of winners and losers. Everyone wants to win. Nobody wants to lose. But desire is not enough. Your habits decide which side you move toward. Chapter 13. Winner or loser? Which one are you? If you do not know what goal to choose, begin with one broad decision. Reach your full potential. That single aim will force you to develop both self-awareness and self-discipline. Life never pauses, even when you do. It keeps moving, changing, testing, and teaching. Life is like training ground. You are always practicing something. If you are not practicing courage, focus, health, and growth, you may be practicing avoidance, comfort, and decline. There is no neutral path. You move toward winner habits or loser habits. Choice belongs to you. This chapter presents basic rules that help you improve any area of life. Weight loss, relationships, work, money, skill building, or personal confidence. These principles are not magic. Knowledge alone will not save you. If you refuse work, you fail no matter how many strategies you learn. But if you apply these ideas with discipline, productivity rises, confidence grows, and self-respect strengthens. Know what you want. Imagine getting into car and trying to reach place you have never visited, without address, map, or directions. It sounds foolish. Today, you would put postcode or address into phone and follow route. Yet, Many people live their entire lives without clear destination. They move, but they do not know where they are going. Goals work like addresses. If you do not know destination, you circle, waste fuel, waste time, and grow frustrated. Specific goals make success easier because they give your mind something concrete to pursue. Compare these two statements. I am going to lose 20 pounds. And I am going to lose 20 pounds, triple weight I can lift at gym, and save money for 2 new outfits when I reach goal. Second statement has more energy. It creates picture. It stirs emotion. Human beings are not moved by dry facts alone. We act when we feel meaning. You also need your why. A goal with no reason rarely survives discomfort. Why do you want this? How does it connect to your values, identity, and purpose? Maybe you want to write 100,000-word book about overcoming depression. To many people, that sounds too hard. But if your deeper reason is to help others escape pain you once knew, that purpose can lift you out of bed early or bring you back to laptop after long workday. Your why becomes vehicle that carries you when motivation fades. Also, count cost before starting. Every meaningful goal demands sacrifice. There is no path to growth without some discomfort. If you want stronger finances, maybe you need second job, strict budget, fewer luxuries. If you want better health, maybe you must wake earlier and train while others sleep. If you identify sacrifices early, they will not shock you later. You can also decide whether goal truly matters enough to pay price. Don't cut corners. Trying often looks for escape routes. Doing follows process. People who only try keep backup excuses ready. They never put whole heart into solution because part of them is already planning what to do if they fail. So success requires effort, but also integrity. You must do things properly. If your goal is weight loss, cutting corners might mean taking pills, chasing extreme shortcuts, or choosing surgery before changing habits. You may reach smaller number on scale, but you did not build discipline, strength, or pride. There is little satisfaction in outcome you did not earn. Real achievement changes you. Shortcuts may change appearance or numbers, but they often leave character untouched. Discipline grows through process, not bypass. Don't make a big leap. Small steps require discipline too. In fact, small steps often demand more maturity because they are less dramatic. At start of goal, excitement makes huge action tempting. You feel motivated, energized, ready to attack everything at once. But early fire burns out quickly. Motivation helps start journey, but it cannot carry whole journey. Plan does. Routine does. Measured pace does. There is nothing wrong with excitement. You should feel alive when thinking about your future. But fastest sustainable path is usually steady path. Create plan and follow it. Keep journal. Track progress. Let small wins accumulate. When you finally reach destination, you will look back with pride because you built result step by step. Repetition is the key to success. Suppose your goal is to read Spanish newspaper comfortably. First, identify drills needed. Vocabulary, grammar, spelling, listening, reading practice. You may use apps, books, lessons, flashcards, or tutors. Then repeat those exercises every day. Repetition is not glamorous. It can feel boring. Some days you may think nothing is changing. You may miss practice once in a while. That does not destroy goal. Return next day. Do not waste energy making excuses or attacking yourself. Recommit and continue. Most mastery is built through ordinary repetition. You do same useful actions long enough that they become part of you. Celebrate your wins. If your goal is full marathon and you have not exercised in years, final target may feel impossible. If you stare only at finish line, discouragement may crush you. Focus instead on milestones. Celebrate first 2-mile run without stopping, then 5 miles, then 10. Each milestone tells your mind, I am becoming someone who can do this. Wins create identity. More wins make you see yourself as winner. Whatever goal you pursue, remember this. What you focus on grows in your mind. Combine consistent action with belief, and progress becomes likely. Next chapter explains why you must learn to enjoy chase itself, not only final prize. Chapter 14. Fall in love with the process. After choosing goal and building plan, next challenge is learning to enjoy process. Many people love early stage, discovering passion, setting goal, imagining future, designing system. Then work begins, difficulty appears, comfort zone gets threatened. Suddenly excitement fades and they quit. This is normal because body prefers familiarity. Unless you are trained from childhood to pursue excellence, hard goals may feel unnatural at first. Look at elite athletes. Many began young. Venus and Serena Williams trained from childhood before world knew their names. Venus won first professional match at 14 after years of preparation. Cristiano Ronaldo began serious training young. Tiger Woods learned golf as child. Excellence rarely appears overnight. You will not write goals today and achieve everything tomorrow. Serious achievement requires serious work. If you want to cross gap between setting goals and reaching them, you must learn to appreciate process even when it is hard. Motivation and determination alone are not enough. They rise and fall. If you depend on feelings, you quit before momentum develops. This chapter shows how to change your relationship with hard work so process becomes something you can enjoy. The power of association. Motivation has limits. Thinking about end goal may energize you, but daily grind can drain you unless you connect work with positive feelings. Psychology gives useful tool. Association. Ivan Pavlov demonstrated this with dogs in 1890s. While studying digestion, he noticed dogs salivated not only when food arrived, but when they heard footsteps of assistant who usually brought food. Dogs had linked footsteps with feeding. Pavlov then used bell before meals. Soon, dogs salivated when bell rang, even without food. They had been conditioned. What does that mean for modern life? It means you can train yourself to respond differently to difficult tasks. Instead of forcing yourself through dread every time, pair hard work with pleasant signals. Over time, mind links task with positive feelings. Yes, you can become happier about hard work. It may sound unrealistic, but process is straightforward. Find ways to create calm, pleasure, and reward before, during, and after task. The hard part is consistency. Conditioning does not happen after one attempt. Repeat association long enough and brain adapts. Suppose you want to start business, but need business plan for bank loan. You know it requires research, writing, numbers, and hours at laptop. Thought fills you with dread, so you delay. To change association, add positive triggers around work. How to form positive associations. Before working, prepare favorite drink or snack. Over time, your mind begins linking that taste with productive work. Or listen to motivating speaker for few minutes. Or read inspiring article. Or take hot shower with scent you enjoy. So smell and warmth become signals that work is about to begin. During work, play light background music. Lyrics may distract, but instrumental productivity playlists can help focus. After enough sessions, music itself becomes cue for concentration. You start entering work mode more easily. After each session, reward yourself. Watch episode of favorite show. Read chapters of novel. Take walk. Do something enjoyable. This is more than pat on back. You are training brain to connect effort with good feelings. If routine stays consistent, eventually work itself begins feeling rewarding. Reward becomes less necessary because identity and momentum take over. A gym example works same way. If you want to lose weight and train more often, create playlist of songs you love and only listen to it while exercising. Music becomes incentive. As association strengthens, thought of gym becomes more pleasant. Eventually, even if you forget playlist, routine still feels better because positive connection has already formed. Repetition remains key. When action repeats enough, you stop wasting energy debating whether to do it. It becomes natural, like brushing teeth. You just move. Another powerful method is connecting success with identity. Ask, what kind of person am I becoming through this goal? Maybe right now you feel insecure because your health, money, or career is not where you want. But each disciplined action becomes evidence that you are transforming. If your goal is marathon, do not see yourself only as person trying to finish race. See yourself as health-conscious, energetic, active, and strong. Thoughts matter. What you dwell on shapes what you move toward. Gratitude can also transform process. Before work session or workout, pause and think, I have chance to improve my life. Many people are so trapped in stress that they never even plan better future, let alone act on it. If you have time and ability to build something, that is gift. You can even use visible rewards, like gold stars on calendar. It may sound childish, but it works because visual progress creates pride. In school, gold star made you feel recognized and motivated to keep doing well. Same principle can help adult habits. Put calendar where you see it daily. Each mark reminds you of progress and pushes you to continue. Enjoying process matters, but you also need learn to handle negative emotions differently. Sadness, anger, fear, envy, and shame will appear. If you understand them, they can become tools instead of traps. Next chapter explains how. Chapter 15. How to make your negative emotions work for you and not against you. No matter how positive you are, negative emotions will come. Sadness, anger, despair, frustration, envy, anxiety, and shame are part of human life. You cannot experience full human range and avoid all unpleasant feeling. Most people try to shut negative emotions down quickly. They distract, deny, suppress, or pretend everything is fine. But emotions often carry information. When used wisely, they can support self-discipline and purpose. If you accept that suffering cannot be fully escaped, you become ready to learn from discomfort. Negative feelings often signal that something needs attention. Do not treat them only as problems to delete. Treat them as signs pointing toward change. Instead of ignoring them and hoping they vanish, use them to build action plan. How to use anger and rage to your advantage. Many people struggle with anger because of childhood training. Some were told anger is bad, rude, or dangerous, so they learned to bury it. Even justified anger got pushed down. Over time, hidden anger turns into resentment. Others learned opposite lesson. They use anger to control people. They shout, threaten, and manipulate. Both patterns are unhealthy. Anger carries energy. It can make body feel alive and charged. Instead of exploding or suppressing, direct that force. Use it in gym. Use it to fuel long-term goals. If someone mocks your weight, do not waste energy attacking them. Let anger become proof that change matters to you. This does not mean living for approval of critics. It means taking negative energy sent your way and converting it into movement. Desire to prove wrong those who doubted, mocked, or dismissed. You can become strong fuel when channeled toward constructive work. How to use envy to your advantage. Envy can also teach. Most people waste jealousy by tearing others down. But envy often reveals desire. If someone has something you want, ask what that feeling is showing you. If friend has financial freedom and you envy possessions, use that feeling as signal to improve income, savings, and skills. If someone lost weight while you sit on couch eating pizza, jealousy may be pointing toward health goal you have avoided. When envy appears, do not gossip or criticize. Write down what you want. Study what other person did. Build plan. Start moving. How to use anxiety to your advantage. Anxiety feels awful, but worry can become useful if managed. Fear can paralyze, but it can also prepare. First, conquering fear creates satisfaction. Imagine how strong you will feel after doing things that once scared you. Second, fear can trigger planning. Suppose your company is struggling and your job may be at risk. Natural fear appears. Bills, food, rent, survival. Many people spend all energy imagining disaster, then only act after job disappears. Better response. Let fear push you to prepare now. Update resume. Build savings. Contact network. Learn new skill. Explore side income. Fear cannot be erased completely, so use it. When anxiety overwhelms you, sit down, breathe, and write. Draw line down middle of page. On one side, list things you fear. On other, write worst that could happen. Then take another sheet and brainstorm solutions. Imagine you want to rent out house, travel, and quit job. Fear says tenants may refuse rent and damage property. Good. Now plan. Keep emergency money in bank. Get insurance. Prepare repair contacts. Ask trusted people for tenant recommendations. Fear has now become problem-solving tool. Many assume fear means wrong direction. Not always. If you fear life change, it may mean you are leaving comfort zone. Growth often feels scary because it is unfamiliar. Think of past challenges. You were afraid, but you got through. Do not let fear rule you, and do not waste life fighting it. Accept it as human, then take next step anyway. Using sadness and despair to your advantage. Sadness and despair are harder to convert into fuel, but it can be done. Suppose you go through painful divorce and lose best friend in same season. Events like that can steal focus if handled poorly. First, remember pain will not last forever. It changes with time. Losing important people, even when they are still alive, creates grief. You mourn roles they played in your life. During grief, perspective often changes. Things once important may suddenly seem small. Life feels shorter. Priorities become clearer. That clarity can improve time management and focus. Instead of wasting hours gossiping or watching television, you may begin putting energy into meaningful work. Self-discipline can become easier because you understand time matters. Some people pursue lifelong goals in memory of loved ones. Loss can awaken extraordinary action. Someone who once lived on couch may begin training for marathon to raise money for cancer charity after losing friend. Pain gives purpose. Priorities reorder. Creative people can also use difficult emotions. Research from Ghent University followed 102 full-time creative professionals and found they were often most productive on days when mood was lower. Negative energy can become art, writing, music, or meaningful output. If you are creative, next time sadness or distress appears, pour it into your craft. How to use shame to your advantage. Shame is especially heavy because it attacks identity. Guilt and shame are different. Guilt says, I did something wrong. It can be healthy because it pushes apology and repair. Shame says, I am wrong. It makes person feel unworthy, damaged, or deserving of pain. When shame destroys self-esteem, moving forward becomes hard. If you believe you are fundamentally flawed, you may think current life is all you deserve. But shame can be overcome. Brené Brown, author of Daring Greatly, teaches that shame loses power when spoken in safe connection. First step is telling someone trustworthy. Acceptance from another person can help you begin forgiving yourself. If you cannot speak to someone you know, seek counselor or professional support. As shame decreases, compassion grows. You begin seeing that everyone is human, everyone makes mistakes, and people deserve chance to repair and grow. Releasing shame clears mental clutter and allows focus on becoming who you were meant to be. When projects fail, discouragement is natural, but productive time is never fully wasted if you learn from it. Next chapter explains 2 principles that help you keep going when much of your effort seems not to work. Chapter 16. The Pareto Principle and Sturgeon's Law. Most people know pain of working hard on something that does not turn out as hoped. You spend hours, days, maybe months, and result disappoints. This chapter explains why that experience is normal and why accepting it can strengthen discipline instead of weakening it. 2 ideas help here: Sturgeon's Law and Pareto Principle. Sturgeon's Law. Theodore Sturgeon, science fiction writer, responded in 1958 to critics who dismissed science fiction as low quality. His answer was direct. Yes, much science fiction may be poor, but same is true of almost everything. Most output in any field is not excellent. This idea became known as Sturgeon's law. Philosopher Daniel Dennett later described it as one of useful tools for critical thinking. Its value remains because it reminds creators, workers, and thinkers not to expect every attempt to be brilliant. The Pareto Principle. Pareto Principle carries similar lesson. In 1896, Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto observed that about 80% of land in Italy belonged to 20% of people. He also noticed in his garden that 20% of pea plants produced 80% of best pods. This became known as 80-20 rule or law of vital few. In business, people often say 80% of revenue comes from 20% of customers. Same pattern appears in many areas. Small portion of effort, products, ideas, or relationships creates large portion of results. How do these laws apply to me? At first, these principles can feel discouraging. If most work may be weak, why bother? If only small part of effort creates best results, why keep producing? But seen correctly, these ideas are freeing. They teach that hard work does not guarantee every piece will succeed, though that is normal, not personal failure. Imagine fiction author who writes several books over 2 years. 3 sell poorly. 1 becomes huge success and wins awards. Without Pareto thinking, author may feel crushed that other books failed. With it, author understands that one major success may justify whole body of work. These principles preserve broader perspective. Perspective protects discipline. If you expect every attempt to win, disappointment may stop you. If you understand that many attempts are part of path to valuable few, you keep moving. Accepting that small portion of work may produce biggest difference pushes you to work both harder and smarter. Strong CEOs understand this. They test products, launch services, take risks, and do not quit after failures because they know success is rarely constant. They expect complications and build resilience. The 80-20 rule can even feel exciting. Yes, much of your work may not deliver desired result, but some portion may give you everything you need. You do not always know in advance which project, chapter, product, conversation, or practice session will matter most. That uncertainty is part of life. If success were guaranteed every time, journey would lose tension and growth. Top performers fail often. They keep going because only few major successes can change everything. Same applies to you. Bad ideas do not matter as much as persistence. Keep producing, keep learning, keep refining. How to handle failure. Every failure contains lesson. When something fails, examine it. Ask what went wrong. Avoid obsessing over disappointment. If nothing else, effort gave you practice in discipline. When you discover what works, build on it. This sounds obvious, but people struggle because what works is often not what they expected to work. Emotional attachment clouds judgment. If you love idea, you may keep funding, defending, and forcing it long after evidence shows it is failing. Pride makes walking away difficult. Someone outside project may clearly see it is not working, and why. But creator may feel too invested to admit mistake. Discipline includes ability to step back, assess honestly, and change direction. When you accept that some efforts will not produce desired results, you gain wisdom to quit gracefully when needed. Quitting fantasy is not weakness if it frees energy for what works. Self-discipline is not stubbornly pushing dead project forever. It is using judgment to choose best next action. Focus on present reality, not imagined past. What could have been is gone. What matters is what can be done now. Determination matters, but obsession can exhaust you. Next chapter explains how to avoid burnout while pursuing goals with discipline. Chapter 17. How to avoid burnout. So far, focus has been building discipline, strengthening willpower, and staying steady through obstacles. But pushing too hard can damage you. Discipline is not same as self-destruction. This chapter explains burnout, warning signs, recovery, and prevention. You can recover from burnout, but prevention is better. Wise discipline includes rest, limits, and honest self-monitoring. What is burnout? Stress is part of life. It may appear daily, weekly, or rarely, but everyone experiences it. Sometimes pressure becomes so heavy you cannot think clearly or work well. People call this brain freeze. It may last minutes or hours. Often, short break, fresh air, or distance from problem helps you reset. Burnout is deeper. When someone is burnt out, mental and physical ability to cope has broken down. Exhaustion becomes severe. Decision-making becomes difficult. Mood drops. Hope disappears. In extreme cases, professional psychiatric help may be needed. Anyone can burn out. CEO, single parent, part-time worker, student, entrepreneur. It depends on pressure, personality, support, and coping skills. Burned-out people often blame themselves. They compare themselves to others under similar pressure who seem fine, then conclude something is wrong with them. High achievers are especially vulnerable. They like demanding roles. They push hard, ignore rest, and treat exhaustion as badge of honor. That may work briefly during intense deadline or big deal. But if imbalance becomes normal life, damage follows. As you build self-discipline, you must avoid stretching yourself beyond healthy limits. Burnout usually gives warnings. People do not feel perfectly fine one day and destroyed next. If you pay attention, you can intervene. This means placing cap on discipline. Learn to say no to tasks that drain you beyond reason. Keep healthy routines. Sleep at least 7 hours. Drink water. Eat balanced food. These may seem unrelated to ambition, but they support mental capacity, willpower, and wise decisions. A tired mind has weaker self-control. Nutritious food and enough rest improve chance of success. Take the time out to relax. Endless tasks and constant difficult decisions lead toward burnout. Relaxation is not laziness. It recharges systems so you can perform well. Even special forces and Shaolin monks do not train without rest forever. They understand that too much pressure harms self-control. When relaxing, do it properly. Stop checking phone for client reply. Stop mentally solving work problems. Real rest means giving yourself break from demands. Often, workload itself is not only cause of burnout. Mindset around workload matters. If you hate your work and view every task as burden, pressure grows. If you see demanding task as investment that produces future benefit, stress becomes easier to carry. Discipline also reduces burnout by preventing avoidable chaos. Avoid trivial distractions and procrastination. If you delay, work piles up. Backlogs force huge effort in short time. That self-induced pressure can burn you out. Being proactive protects energy. At start of any project, motivation feels high, but things rarely go exactly as planned. You need framework before trouble comes. The importance of scheduling. Before beginning project, create schedule. Estimate how much time tasks require. If unsure, ask someone experienced. If still uncertain, assume project may take 1.5 times longer than expected. If you finish early, rest or begin next work. If extra time is needed, you already planned for it. Scheduling helps with presentations, reports, and weekly planning. Tracking tasks and time in spreadsheets can reveal patterns. Though scheduling seems like common sense, many avoid it. One reason is fear. A schedule forces you to look closely at the project. It shows how much work is involved, what challenges may appear, and where plan may fail. Avoiding schedule feels easier in moment, but increases stress later. Solution is to acknowledge fear and act anyway. Confidence rarely appears before difficult assignment. Anxiety often grows until you start. Earlier you build scheduling habit. Less stress you carry over time. What if I've already reached burnout? If you are already exhausted and thought of another workday makes you sick, prevention advice is not enough. Recovery requires time off. If your arm were broken or lungs infected, you would rest. Burnout also needs recovery. You may need 1 week, 2 weeks, or more, depending on severity. Return when truly recovered, not when guilt says you should. If employed, speak to employer. If self-employed, inform clients. Many workplaces now understand work-life balance better than before, and support may be available. During recovery, reflect. Burnout does not mean you are weak, incapable, or failure. It means approach must change. Ask what went wrong. When did signs begin? What choices increased pressure? What boundaries were missing? Maybe burnout started when colleague went on vacation and you accepted their workload, despite already being overloaded. That moment called for no. You could have said you had too much already and could not take more. Balancing ambition with mental health is skill. It takes practice. Push yourself, but do not destroy yourself. Discipline should help you build strong life, not burn it down. Conclusion. Finishing this book matters only if it becomes start of different behavior. Self-discipline is not proven by reading. It is proven after book closes, when you choose action over comfort. Ideas matter because they can turn intention into movement and movement into identity. But they must be used. Start small. Choose one habit, one time, one place, and one clear standard. 5 focused minutes every day beats one dramatic burst that disappears after week. Consistency builds trust with yourself. Or each kept promise says, I can rely on me. That trust becomes foundation for bigger goals. You will miss days. You will delay. You will fall into old patterns sometimes. That does not mean failure. It means you are human. Discipline is not perfection. Discipline is recovery. Return quickly. Learn from slip. Make next decision better. Your future will be shaped more by repeated choices than by occasional motivation. Health, money, relationships, skills, and meaningful work all require same core practice. Doing what serves long-term values when short-term comfort pulls against them. Do not wait until you feel ready. Readiness often arrives after action begins. Pick one principle and apply it today. Repeat tomorrow. Disciplined life is built quietly, choice by choice, until habits and identity become one. Goal is not to become harsh, rigid, or joyless. Goal is freedom. Freedom from impulse. Freedom from wasted time. Freedom from broken promises. Freedom from regret of knowing you could have done more. Discipline is price of that freedom. Pay it in daily decisions.